go like, it's just a bigger striper. Like, it can't be
It's
that.
like, holy shit.
Yeah, it can't be that cool. And then it starts peeling line off the drag.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and I just got so stoked. So, like, ever get people, like, fired up all the time?
Oh, yeah.
I guess, right?
Oh, yeah.
Up the tuna bill. Yeah!
Which is the best part. They'll land. A lot of our guys are, like, super, super focused on catching big eye.
Yeah.
So when you, like, they celebrate. They're fist bumping, they're coming up, they're hugging me, coming up in the bridge.
Nice job.
That is cool.
And just pumped. And that's the excitement that we do it for, too. Like, I'm just as excited.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's got to be the coolest feeling.
It's the best. And I take it as a challenge, like...
All right, so welcome to Saltwater Tales, Ep.2. We got Jersey Nutz here, Cody, and it's kind of be like a joint podcast here. You guys have a podcast that's called...
We do. Get 'em Giddy Radio.
And that's on. You could view that.
Spotify, Apple Music. It used to be on Google Podcasts, but I don't think that's a thing anymore. I don't know. It sends it to a lot of stuff. Our website has the direct access to it. So, Get 'em Giddy Radio.
Yeah, we'll
Check it
put
out.
the link in the description so everybody can kind of view it, and then we're kind of going to... I'll send you the audio file, and then we could dial it in there. All right, so just kind of tell us what you guys specialize in, what you guys are.
So, Jersey Nutz, do you want some backstory?
Yeah,
A little
kind of
bit about
give us
this?
the whole nine so people know what it is.
Jersey Nutz was developed by my brother and I in 2012. So it's like 13 years ago now. And we grew up fishing. Grandfather fished. Our dad and uncle got us really into it, and especially the offshore fishing in New Jersey. And we had the stupid idea to decide to try and make money fishing.
So how long did you fish before you kind of decided to go right into the charter businesses?
We fished so we started the charter business when I was 18. When I was 3 months left in high school still.
Yeah.
My brother's older, so he was in college. We fished our whole lives. My dad and my uncle got us into the offshore world. And once, and probably most people you talk to that start tuna fishing, once you start, you don't stop.
Yeah, it's
And
an addiction.
It just gets worse. So we would, my dad, I should say, they would work all week. We'd go down to the boat Friday night at midnight, hop on the boat, go run fish for a day, clean the boat up, go back home. And my dad is one of those guys where he works. If he's not working, he's sleeping. So, he would go back to work on Sunday. He has a diesel remanufacturing company, engine company. That we grew up in. But when you own a business, you work, right? So, but long story short, we fished when we could, and it was a recreational thing. But they got into tournaments, and it slowly turned into like they were kind of the standard recreational fishermen. Very like limited time to learn and go do stuff. And my brother and I really just got hooked on it when we were, 12 years old, and just kept developing things and getting better and changing the way we fished and pushing. Like, when you're that age, you don't have the money to go fish a tournament, but we want to go fish a tournament, right? So then we go fish a tournament and, we win some money, right? So then like they're getting a little bit addicted too. So it kind of just like snowballed. And then it got to the point where we wanted to fish more, basically. And really it was my brother that pushed it. I mean, he was in college, or he was about to graduate college, and he's not a book guy. So he was in college for a while. But you ever seen Tommy Boy?
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Like, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way. I'm struggling to finish. Not struggling, but just kind of distracted by work.
He went to college for, I think, 6 years. He's not a doctor, if there's any hint in that. But anyway, he wanted to fish, and I'm his little brother. Of course, sounds great. You know,
Yeah,
why would you not
absolutely.
want to fish?
Now, you guys grew up, you were down here in Columbus over here, but you guys grew up in LBI area or where at?
I mean, for all intents and purposes, in the fishing side, we grew up in Holgate on LBI. We lived and went to school inland here in Columbus, but my grandfather had a house in Holgate on LBI, so catching snappers off the dock, puffer fish, crabbing, skate fishing. Then we had a 17-foot whaler where we were the crazy kids taking it out in the ocean. And,
I love it.
Then we got a 21-foot skiff. Like those were our boats, my brother and I, that we started developing stuff on. And then my dad had we had a 38 center console, and then he had a 43 ocean yacht. So, but we always kind of had, we had our own thing, kind of, but not like.
Yeah, because you can't just kind of dive right into offshore tuna. It has a
no.
progression into that stage.
No, but I caught my first fish that I remember catching was a yellowfin. If that's like actually like, So there's a picture of me when I was 4 years old. Like my grandfather used to do it.
Oh, okay.
With probably a 25-pound yellowfin that caught on the chunk at night. And so I mean, I learned, we knew fishing offshore, and still to this day, growing up better than we ever knew inshore fishing, which is, I think, like the opposite for 99% of people.
Yeah,
that you were saying, like, there's a progression. We progressed, but like
in your skill set offshore,
we learned offshore first. So
that's
like,
cool.
I think you still learn stuff every time you're offshore, but we probably learn more in a season inshore now than we do offshore, because we've learned different. Offshore more. Like that was our hook. Like, we would skip school to go striper fishing.
Yeah.
But that was just because we could. We would leave it when we would leave for school, hook up the trailer. My mom probably knew. I don't know how she wouldn't have known.
I didn't even tell her.
But no. But we would take the boat down to Shark River and go striper fishing. But like, it was like, tuna was just like always the
key,
the thing. I mean, that was just what, like, we fished the other stuff just because we could, but we didn't spend our time perfecting like stripers at first.
Yeah.
We spent our time learning everything that we could do and making our own rigs and doing things different. When I was real young, my grandfather used to have a captain from LBI that we'd learned a lot from, Herb Scholenberg, in the offshore world, because that was when it was brand new to our family. Mm-hmm. And, every captain has a certain way that they fish, right? So, like, we learned to fish his way, which was a phenomenal starting point. And then you make adjustments and start changing things. And then, like, you change a thing and you see the results, or you don't see the results. So,
yeah, I think back then, how old are you?
I'm 30.
30. Yeah, I'm only 23. But I think back then it was kind of, you had to learn by yourself. There was no outlet to
100%.
kind of go and look and find the way to do. I think you guys had to find what worked best for you guys.
100%. And that's kind of still our MO a little bit. Like, we are pretty independent in the offshore world. And not that, we have people that we talk to, friends, but like, we're very aggressive in fishing our own way, trying to find our own fish. Mm-hmm. And I just say that not like in a pride thing. It's just like the sport of fishing. I call, whenever people ask me questions, I tell them to be a fisherman.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Like,
because nothing beats that feeling of actually going out and finding your own fish and targeting what you're looking for.
100%.
And saying that, I did this myself in the vast ocean, and this is where they were, and I got it done that day.
100%. And that's like, there's just a lot of people that don't fish that way.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's fine. I don't have any negativity towards anything like that. People, you fish on the weekend, you're going to take whatever information you can get and go see, you want to have the best trip you can have. It's
Absolutely.
expensive. You got a boat, you have fuel, you got ice.
Everything.
You want to. In your mind, you're telling yourself the best chance I have is to take this information that I have and go fish with it. And I'm not saying we do. We take the information, but I think we use it in a little bit different way, and like we use that information to project or have an idea where they're going to be at rather than where they were yesterday.
Yeah.
And sometimes that doesn't work out. I mean, it's fishing, so
sure.
we've had plenty of our bad days, right? So, but that's we going back to like learning from the captain. We learned like a good base, a very solid as far as your rigging and how important it is, and every bite matters, and taking care of your vessel. Just like a lot of the base things that you have to be good at if you're going to go do it every day. We learned from Captain Herb, and then we developed and innovated from there. And
so where did the Jersey Nutz come from? So when did you develop from fishing to fun with your brother to kind of a business and a business name to put on your boat, or like what was your first kind of?
So in 2012 was the first Jersey Nutz. So that's where like we started as a business. The name came from a mix of marketing prowess, and by that I mean we wanted something that would catch Google's attention. Like if someone's looking up, if someone's looking up New Jersey fishing, our name Jersey is going to be in that, right? So that was like maybe our youth at the time.
Yeah, and I think if you're looking online for a charter, I'd rather pick Jersey Nutz than offshore tuna charters.
Right.
I think it catches people's eyes.
So
and say, oh, what is this?
It's a mix of two things. It's that we wanted Jersey to be in there somewhere. We're proud of where we come from. We want the name to be recognizable. There's a lot of like, when you're young, like you look and like, this boat's got the name. It's got real in the name. Like a lot of classic boat names, right? Like, I don't want to say names because I'm not, I don't want to single anyone out.
Yeah,
but like,
for sure.
Not that they're bad, but they're
different.
like classic.
It puts you guys out there separate than everybody else.
And the nuts came from people calling us nuts that we were going to start a charter business. And
that's cool. I like that. That is awesome.
Nobody wanted us to do it. Family, friends, people in the industry.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it's the same thing I tell people that want to start a charter business. I go, don't do it. Don't do it. It's just not
for everybody.
It's not. It's hard, is what it is. It's hard, and it's from a 10,000 foot view. When people look at anything that someone else does, like I can do that, right?
Yeah.
Like you see people pouring concrete on the side of the road, and you go like, oh, they got an easy job.
Yeah.
But you have no clue.
Exactly.
Right?
It's funny. So I do general contracting, so we do all commercial projects, and like the painting guys. I built this studio a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, let me just paint these walls. I'm like, damn,
yeah,
make it a little easier than it looks. Even though like I was like, it's just painting, and I was like, oh man. But like kind of the same thing with that. Like I don't think people realize how dedicated and how much it takes.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You love what you do, makes it easier. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work. The fishing is the easy part.
It's really, everything else nobody else sees.
It really is that. It's the fishing is the easy part, and that's where a lot of people want to come into the industry. Is they see our Instagram or someone else's Facebook where they're posting pictures of tuna every day.
Yeah.
That's all awesome. And that's the part that we love too. That's why we're in an engine room when it's 200 degrees, changing oil in between trips. Nobody wants to do that, right? No. Or fixing something that breaks like it does every trip because it's a boat. Or dealing with customers is just like we're in the customer service business.
Absolutely,
is what we're in, which is like really surprising to a lot of people because they just, you see them come and go. They think
you got to please them. That's your whole. They business.
Think they're just getting people to come fishing with them, pay them, and they're getting to go fishing.
Yeah,
like, I'm going fishing, and now these guys are paying to come with me, and it's not. That's not it.
Yeah.
That's not
So
it.
do you remember your first dollar you made on a charter? Was it you and your brother took somebody out, or
Yep.
what's?
Yep. We still have it.
Oh, no way.
We still have it.
Is it on one of the boats or no?
It's in a frame at home.
That's cool.
Which, is we took a lot of pride in it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when we first started chartering, though, go back to the beginning, just a little bit. Like when we first started, our first boat that we bought that we were going to charter with was a 28-footer.
Okay. Center console bow.
Carolina Classic.
Okay.
It's like an express. And our goal, that's what we could afford at the time, right? Our father thought we were crazy. He had a 43-foot sport fish. No way we were using that to charter.
Yeah.
If you're going to build a charter business, you're going to do it on your own. Not that he would help us with anything. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he would give us the skin off his back if he thought it would help us. But he wasn't going to give us anything.
For sure. Yeah.
He wasn't just going to tell you can use this $500,000 boat and go run a charter business.
Yeah.
So the 28-footer, what I'm getting at, we were very limited in our offshore ability at the time with that boat. So we did a lot of striper fishing, black fishing, a lot of inshore stuff. Actually, that was the year when Sandy hit.
You're right.
A big part of our getting off the ground successfully was when Sandy hit in the fall that year. A lot of charter boats were in bad shape.
Okay, yeah,
Especially they couldn't run trips. So this was October, November, December coming up. We were, for a first year charter, we were booked every day in the fall that year.
So how long did you book out before you did your first? Or you just kind of launch it and when, or did you kind of book a month out or?
When we did our first trip?
Yeah.
When we did our first trip, we were bugging anyone that could.
Yeah.
We were bugging family members to pay us to go fishing. We were hustling. We were just doing. It's a very tough business to break into because people are loyal to their boats that they fish on.
Yeah,
typically.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we had family that we took out. We had friends that we took out. We made the mistake of doing discounts and stuff like that because to us, if we ran a $500 trip and we burnt $400 worth of fuel, we made $100.
Yeah.
That's just wrong because then you have to pay for the boat and the maintenance and everything else. So we did what anyone would do when they're 18 years old. Is we thought we just did everything that we could, but we quickly realized that wasn't going to be a successful strategy. Just weren't going to make money. We grew up in a family business, so we grew up around the idea of being able to provide, being able to make money. I mean, everything everyone does is for a living.
Absolutely.
You can love it as much as you want, but it's only going to last a couple of years if you can't make money doing it.
Correct. Yeah.
Just the end of the story, right? You can't live for free.
Mm-hmm.
So we got better with that, and my brother and I are complete opposites. The simple way would say that I'm the brains and he's the brawn, but there's different ways you could translate that.
Yeah, right.
But I was able to get more involved and work on the business side of things and see how we could actually make money out of this. And it's actually better sometimes to stay at the dock rather than run a trip for X.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense.
If we ran what we call open boats, and we still do them now, with only 4 people when we didn't have 6, wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Right? We were better off. At the time, we could go work at my dad's shop for a day and make $100 for the day, and we didn't have to break anything on the boat or anything like that.
Yeah, it makes sense for sure.
But really that fall, so we started in the spring, and it was slow going.
Okay.
But that fall really kickstarted us. 2013 was our first full year. Was great.
And you kind of focused 2013 inshore only.
We did some tuna trips, but it was, we knew it wasn't really what we wanted to provide.
Yeah.
It wasn't, the boat couldn't provide what we wanted to provide. So it happened pretty. So and then in early 2014, we bought a 53-footer.
Oh, awesome!
So we did it. we got our feet in the water. We developed a customer base inshore, and our inshore customer base has been with us ever since.
Awesome.
And we can give them a lot of credit for us still being around. But that, we made it 2 years, and we moved on to our 53, which has been with us since then.
Still on the fleet today?
Which is the one on all the shirts. That's
Okay.
I call that the flagship. It's not the biggest vessel anymore, but it's the one that's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
It's a 53-foot Spencer. It's a custom Carolina. Can't beat the ride. I would take a 53-foot, our 53-footer over 70 Viking.
Really?
And
That's awesome.
That's not, Yeah,
it's just
I have
your
no pride in saying, like, there's, I wouldn't take it over a 90-footer because it's twice the size. But I've been on those boats, and that 53-foot boat is just a phenomenal boat. And it's perfect for what we do.
Yeah. It's awesome. You said ride's great, so clients probably love that.
They love the boat. And they've been, a lot of them have been with us because of that. And we still do our inshore stuff on it. So it's a very big inshore boat. It's almost like it's a luxury on the inshore water where, like, at the top of the market like I think we're the biggest striper boat in New Jersey that runs private charters.
Okay.
Not like a
head boat or
not like a head boat or something,
boat,
but like a private charter vessel. I think we're the biggest, or we were for a while. There's some other charter boats, but they don't run like inshore stuff.
Okay.
So because we still do that,
kind of gives you a well-rounded, if somebody goes in your site, only tuna, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
They can kind of see, hey, this guy does everything.
And it goes back to the business side. The tuna season is only so long.
Yeah.
Now it's getting longer, as we saw the bluefin stick around this past year, right? But there's anything that we've learned, things come and go, usually in like 5-year patterns. So not saying the bluefin won't be around in 5 years during December, but chances are that they might not be.
Yeah.
So, like, we kind of have our set structure where we know if we fish these months this way, and we book out 8 months in advance, that we're going to be striper fishing in November through Christmas. And then after Christmas, we have to do boat work because we ran 125 trips, and 70 of them were to the canyons, and we put 3,000 hours on the boat. And we need to work on it for a couple months, and then we start back up again in April.
Yeah, it's funny. I know you said, I just met you 2 weekends ago. We were up at the New England Fishing Show, right?
Yeah.
You were 2 booths down from us, and we kind of just started talking. And you were booking out charters you were booking charters in like August, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's if people want certain dates, it's that they should book early.
Yeah. Now, how do they book? So if somebody wants to get a charter with you, they go online, phone call, or kind of how's the process work?
We have a fully interactive website as far as it's showing our live calendar.
Okay.
They can go on there and look at it for the different vessels and the different trip types. There are some dates that are not on there, or there's a little variation in that. But for I say, like, my age and younger, like, they don't talk on the phone as much. So, like, a lot of people like that. And then if they don't, they call or text me, and I get them set up, which is most people are calling and texting. It's a big expense. They want to talk to the people. They want to go over the details. Our website's full of information, but if somebody's spending $6,000 on a trip, they want to know every in and out.
Get to know you.
So I spend hours on the phone with most of the people before they even book, and talk over everything with them. I'm not with them a lot of the trips, so I make sure they get introduced to the captain and make sure that they get their contact information. They know exactly where they're going. But yeah, our website has a ton of information. We post a lot of stuff on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Awesome. So let's run down your fleet that is currently that you guys run. So you guys run out of Point Pleasant, Atlantic City, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So what boat's up in Point Pleasant?
So in Point Pleasant, right now, we're in a little bit of like a fluctuation of stuff going on. But right now, well, actually at the current moment, there's no boats there. But that's just because of the winter. So during our standard season, our 53-foot Carolina, the Spencer is up there.
Okay.
And then our 45-foot Carolina, which is an Alex Willis, is there as well.
Okay, so you have 2 in Point Pleasant.
2 in Point Pleasant. And then in April, one of our boats goes up to the Raritan Bay.
Okay, for the striper madness up there.
It's so good up there. It's we used to run out of point and just run all the way up there. We'd end up running up there every trip.
No way.
And I mean, our goal, if we know that there's good fishing somewhere, we're going to go to it.
For sure.
So when the fishing was that good up there, we would be running these trips and not making any money. Plus, we're eating up a lot of time running up there and back at a point.
Yeah, they don't get the fish as long.
So we started, a couple of years ago, we made the switch to just fish out of there for a month and a half, pretty much up until mid-May. We fish out of there. So one of the boats, it's either the 53 or the 45. They kind of rotate going up there, usually dependent on boat work, what we're doing. Each kind of year we do major projects on each vessel, so it switches around a little bit.
Okay.
And then in Atlantic City, pretty much just during tuna season, has been our 57-foot boat, which is currently being replaced by a 61 Blackwell.
I saw that on Instagram. That thing looks beautiful.
That thing blew up pretty good, and
that
was just
sweet.
Like one picture from the front there. So that is being replaced.
That boat down in Atlantic City that focuses just on tuna, or what's the deal with that?
Just tuna. That's the boat that I run.
Okay.
As far as our fleet goes, and that's just offshore tuna fishing.
So you ever get when mid-season tuna? You ever get the 2 boats going to the same out of each port, or?
Very common question. And a lot of like my charter guys, like, I talk to them, be like, you're going to be with my brother tomorrow, and I'll be out as well.
Yeah.
And they go, we'll see you then. The amount of days that we fish the same days is a lot. The amount of times that I see the other boats in a year is maybe once or twice.
Because you're always you're running out, you see something.
We're just it's just our nature is like we don't often fish the same area. We just don't like. Out of Atlantic City, there'll be days where I run to the Hudson. Let's an example, like which is north 100 miles,
yeah.
And my brother will come out of Point Pleasant and run to the Wilmington.
No way, really?
We could have, we would cross. Maybe we would cross paths 50 miles off, going to the canyons that are further away from each other.
Yeah.
But
now, what's the reason? Because you obviously all 3 boats talk to each other, right?
Yep.
So what would make you go north and him south? Just the way that your clients on the boat, or what's the?
It's a good question. I think it's just
Do you want the better fish day? It's hey, I'm going to the Hudson. You go here.
So we don't ever. There's no telling each other like you
what
have
your
to
day's
go
gonna
here.
be.
You have I mean, obviously there's no telling what the bite's going to be on your trip, but there's not like there's just a constant sharing of information, and we as a group interpret it kind of on our own.
Okay.
Like that's probably the best way to put it. It's not really for any reason like you're not going there, I'm going here, like type thing. That's not true. That does happen. If we don't have a good beat on what's going on,
kind of spread it out.
We will
a little
spread
bit.
out. But like if we completely go opposite of each other, that's just what we each think is best.
Yeah.
That's really it. And that goes to the point where like, there were several days last year where let's call it like the Hudson had the best bite, and I was going to a different canyon, not the Hudson, and my brother was going to a different canyon, not the Hudson, because we're looking for better fishing. So I don't know the answer to that question, why we do that. It's just kind of like we fish how we fish, and we're at the end of the day we're doing what we think is best for our crew on the boat. Now, I mean we talk, but
for sure.
Is
there any days where like so do the clients get to pick what boat they go on, or do you?
Yeah, they pick because there's a price difference.
Okay,
so
for sure.
There's a pretty decent price difference. So they pick. A lot of our clients choose Point Pleasant just because it's closer to them. I get a lot of corporate type stuff.
Okay.
Taking out clients. I get people that have never fished in their lives, but they have like clients that are fishermen.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
they're stuck on the boat for 28 hours
no
throwing up the
way.
whole time while their clients are having a great time, but they're doing it to try to get some kind of sale.
Yeah.
We've had last year we had Amazon people there. We had Hess.
No way, really?
We had people from Hess. Maybe not last year, a couple of years ago, but we've had a lot of big time people. We've had clients fly in on the helicopter pad that's on top of the Golden Nugget.
No way.
And
That's sweet.
They told me they were flying in. I assumed they were coming into
Atlantic City Airport. Yeah.
And I saw a helicopter land and didn't think anything of it. They get on a boat. They get on the boat half hour later, and did you see my helicopter?
No.
I'm like, what? Like
They
what?
flew in. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just landed on top there. I'm like, oh, that's sweet.
No. What did they do? Did you figure out or?
No, some of them are super, super quiet.
Yeah.
Not quiet. I don't prod.
Person, yeah, keep stuff to themselves.
There's just different levels of money,
Yeah.
right? So like, when I can tell like some people are in like a different atmosphere,
Yeah,
they're just having a good time. I'm having a good time, and
Yeah.
we keep it that way.
For sure.
The craziest thing, I don't know how PG this show is, but I had strip club owners,
No way.
strip club owners show up with their girls.
No.
For a
Taking
trip.
like
For a
actually
trip.
fishing or just kind of like
No, they went off. We did an overnighter.
No way.
And one of the girls clogged the toilet.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
You serious?
So
What the?
the whole thing was hilarious, but the mates on the boat had a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think so.
They enjoyed themselves. So I get like a very interesting range of clients where
Yeah.
the other boats get a lot of like your standard fishermen, I would almost say. Because I do run trips on the other boat, and I go back to like it's reality, right? People show up like wearing all camo, and it's like it's like normal sportsmen.
Yeah.
Where like I've had people show up at the boat before wearing white head to toe, every single person, like they were going to play a tennis match.
Yeah. Which that's cool because you feel a lot of people travel to Atlantic City, which is cool. You cover the bases in Atlantic City,
Yep.
people coming in from vacation or visiting. And do you put flyers out in the casinos at all, or?
We have a relationship with the casino, like the hosts.
Okay.
Who they've sent out people, obviously big spenders or
Yeah.
people that gamble a lot. We have a relationship with the dock master in the marina there. We don't. The boat, like the trips that I run down there, aren't necessarily like I don't put out flyers where it's not like a family's going to choose to go fishing that day.
Yeah.
They're coming there to they already know that they're going to go fishing with us. It's the way I see it. Like we're not
sure.
a 4-hour fluke charter type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it makes sense.
So I've never really done any of that, but we've developed relationships with some of the, I don't want to call them the higher powers in Atlantic City for that reason, and it's worked out pretty good for us. And on the subject of Atlantic City, I personally like it there. The location to the canyons.
Okay.
So out of Point Pleasant, your closest canyon is the Hudson, and you're going to run 90 miles on any normal day to go fish the Hudson. From there, you're going further, 95, 100 to go to a different range of canyons, down to the Toms. The Linden Cole is 100 miles. You're going to go up to the north to the dip. It's 100 miles.
It's kind of like a well-rounded area then.
So Atlantic City, my closest canyon is 68 miles to the Wilmington. And within 100 miles, I can fish the Wilmington, the Baltimore, the Linden Cole, the Spencer, the Toms, the Hudson, and the Poor Man's. Within 125, which I consider like our normal range on our trips, like within that range is like a normal range for us. I can fish from the dip down to the Washington.
Oh, okay.
So in reality, if there's tuna in the summertime,
anywhere in those locations,
I'm within an easy range to go get them. That to me is a beautiful thing. I have relationships with people down in Ocean City, Maryland. I have relationships with people in Virginia because we can go that far south, all the way up to the dip, and then out to the east there. So that's my favorite thing about Atlantic City is the location. It's not very well known how good of a location it is if you're a canyon fisherman.
Yeah.
The drawback, and because that's the only thing that we do, the drawback, like inshore wise, not very good. Midshore wise, pretty hit or miss, depending on the season. It's not like running out of Point or Barnegat where you're always going to have bluefin every summer. You're always going to have yellowfin.
Yeah.
There are some summers there. There was a couple years ago I was running 35 miles, limited out on yellowfin. We could still see the casinos on some of the nights.
No way. That's cool.
That's how close we were. But that's not a common thing.
Yeah.
So like it's pretty much if you're strictly a canyon fisherman, it's a great place. But if you're looking for like an all-around place, it's not phenomenal in that aspect.
Which you have Point Pleasant, which is probably the best place for those inshore bluefin like we were talking about.
Right.
Now back to the stripper crew. Did you land that? You get them any tuna or no?
Oh yeah.
They were stoked?
No, they had a great trip. There were some. It was honestly rather calm for what
you thought it was going to be.
When the guys found out, so they come on the boat. They're handing out VIP cards to their strip club. They're handing out free lap
to you guys,
to us.
No,
I had no clue who these guys. Like I didn't know that this was their business beforehand. They never said anything about it. And a lot of times I do have an idea with these clients, like what they do, or they just when I'm talking to them on the phone. I had no clue. So when they first came on the boat, I thought they were just at the strip club maybe the day before or something.
And they were
like
just
that.
giving you some.
And they were just giving stuff out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it kind of took a little bit of time to develop. I'm like, all right, there's like some decent looking girls here. Yeah. And, we got into conversations. And then they start drinking some beers and they loosen up. And then we find out that they own the strip club.
No way.
And they're bringing these people out, and.
So how far did you guys go that day? Was it a how many hour trip? 12 or 28 one?
That was an overnight trip. I honestly don't remember. There's too many of them.
That's awesome.
I don't remember exactly where we went, but they caught tuna. We caught tilefish. I remember that. They had a blast. I remember them clogging the toilet, which I don't know why. It's our mates that make it funny. They just found it hilarious that a stripper clogged the toilet. I guess that she must have dropped a big load in there or something like
funny.
that. So that was really the only excitement. Other than that, it was very
like a normal trip.
Normal trip. They didn't start stripping her, but if anyone's away from work, did they just start working while they're?
Yeah, you're right.
Not really, right?
Yeah.
So all the fantasies that people probably have about it.
Not reality.
Didn't come true. Going fishing with strippers doesn't mean that they're going to start stripping on the boat.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we need to add a poll.
They're just normal people.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe if we would have played the right music or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
They got hyped up.
No, I rather uneventful, but just.
And you guys got to stay professional too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. But as cool, I bring up the story, the story always starts out we took out a strip club and people get pumped up. They're like, yo, there's got to be some stories of this one.
Nothing crazy.
There's really not much to it.
Yeah.
I've had crazier, tell you what, taking out financial people. Mm-hmm. They're the wild ones.
Really?
They're the wild ones. You got to keep them on a short leash.
Yeah. They get all crazy. Do you have you've been doing it since 2012. Do you have a trip that stands out more than any trip out of them all, or because how many trips do you think you guys do a year? You personally running.
So the other aspect of what I do is I also run a private vessel out of Barnegat Light.
Okay.
A 50-foot Henriques called Heavy Metals. So I run about 45, 50 canyon trips a year. Personally, between the hopping around to the different boats and then the Atlantic City boat. We, as a group, run about 150 tuna trips a year.
That's awesome.
The one boat, the 53, that's all she does. I mean, she striper fishes spring and fall, but just tuna fishes from pretty much Memorial Day through early November. And then the 45 does a lot of midshore fishing.
Okay.
So we try to. Our goal is 300 trips a year overall between all the striper trips and everything like that. You know, you would say 100 trips a boat, but
that's impressive though.
But the Atlantic City boat does not run that many trips because it's only tuna fishing.
Gotcha.
So, but that's just like that's more on the number side of thing, just kind of like a baseline to cover our business for the year. Is that's our goal. But we tuna fish a lot. I mean, that's our emphasis. That's what we do. We try not to hop around and do different things just because one thing's working one week. Yeah. Which you see a lot of is different, people trying to get business. And we did it back when we started, but we're pretty set with our schedule now.
For sure.
So we run a lot of tuna trips. It's pretty much all I do. I mean, I run maybe 10 other trips a year. But at the moment, I'm managing 5 boats.
That's impressive.
And actually kind of 6 because the private boat that I run is a new boat's being built as we speak and being delivered in May.
Oh, nice.
So
you got 2 boats going on. You're building yours. He's got his coming up.
Right now we're in possession of 4 boats, and I'm working with the owner on he has 2 boats pretty much. Well, one's in the finishing stages, and then he has his other one. So I cannot fish any more than I do. I just can't.
Yeah, so speaking of that, so do you ever go out and fish for fun? Like just yourself, your family, or?
So tournaments we do quite a few of each year. So that's the other aspect of what we do in the Atlantic City boat is tournament fishing. Our family is still involved in that. There's a couple tournaments a year that we'll do with our family. But then we do a good handful of tournaments with customers. That's pretty much the extent of our fun fishing.
So if somebody wants to go fit, do you ever done like the White Marlin Open, or is that? So if somebody wants to go do that with you guys, so they have to pay for the entry fee, obviously. Everything, and that's a whole week, right?
Yeah.
So what's the deal with that?
So the way we work our tournaments is I want our clients to know that we're in it to win it. A little bit different than a lot of people.
I'm going to hold you up real quick. How many have you guys won a lot of tournaments, or?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We have. The last couple of years have not been great for us. The technology got a little bit in front of us, honestly. And that's why we're currently putting technology in our new boat to kind of get back to the forefront. But there was a period from like 2015 to 2021 where fishing tournaments was a profit center for us.
That's sweet.
Our information that we were able to gather and be out there every day and know exactly what to do, how to do it, was gold.
Yeah.
It really was. It really was. And, to the point where we had people mad at us.
Really?
And we would get snarky remarks that we had multiple vessels out. I'm fishing a tournament. And it's true. I'm fishing a tournament. I'm on a lay day. Late, like sitting at the dock because I'm not fishing that day during the tournament. My brother's out there fishing.
Yeah.
So I'm getting
info,
feedback, almost 24/7 throughout the summer. If there's a fishable day, we're getting feedback. So that was a huge benefit.
Yeah. So back to people wanting to book a charter. So say you want a White Marlin Open, they pay the entry fee, they pay your daily fee. Now, do they get a profit of if you win? Do they get a percentage, or how does that work?
Yeah. So back to that. You keep correcting me because I'll ramble on forever. So the way we fish them is we want our customers to know that we're fishing it to win it. So we pretty much, in a sense, fish it for free, and it's like my labor is going to be free.
Okay.
We cover our expenses on the boat, our fuel. Our customers pay for the expenses, the fuel, the entry fees, the Calcuttas, bait, which is much reduced rate, obviously, because I'm working for free, our mate's working for free. We want to win. So after that, we take a piece of the winnings.
For sure.
Our goal, when I take 7 days out of my schedule to go work for free, is because I believe that we're going to win.
Yeah. And
obviously there's some big money to be won, but that's the way that we work it. So a lot of charter boats, which I understand completely because it's it's tournament fishing is a lot of luck too. Don't if you look at it, there's a lot of people that win consistently.
Yeah.
So it's luck married with skill, but it's still luck, right? So a lot of charter boats will just kind of do their normal charter rates and take a very small piece of the winnings.
Okay.
We kind of offset that with, we're in a sense working for free, covering our expenses, and a bigger piece of the winnings. But if we win, everybody wins.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
That's cool.
So they know that when I crimp that line, it's my money on the line too.
For
type
sure.
thing. Or when we put that bait out, that
you actually care. You're trying to win. You're not just out there. You get your money.
Our mates have a piece of the pie in the puzzle, right? So they're not going out and drinking the night before and showing up at the boat hungover at 2 a.m. because they want to win too.
That's cool.
So that's our approach to it. Whether it's right or wrong, that's different.
No, I think that would actually, if I was going, I would want that to be the same way. Like you're not like just hosting the crew. Like you're actually together as a team.
Yep.
On the tournament.
Yeah, we're in it together.
That's cool. What's the biggest tournament or prize you guys won?
We've won a couple $100,000 a couple times.
That's cool.
We've never won the White Marlin Open or won the Mid Atlantic, where you get into $800,000-900,000, $1 million.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a goal. We haven't checked that off the bucket list yet. But
do you fish that every year, or is there some years you don't?
Some years we don't. It's a business for us, right?
Yeah.
So if I don't have a crew that wants to pay, the crew that pays for it is basically covering my risk too, right? So like they're paying the expenses. They're still out a lot of money if we don't win, right?
Yeah.
So there's much more risk on the charter side. But if I'm not going to go shell that money out myself.
Yeah.
I just, as a small business, a charter boat, I don't have $60,000 to just go bet on the White Marlin Open because if you go to the White Marlin Open and you blow an engine on the first day,
done.
You're kind of in trouble. Now we have other boats that we've negotiated before in tournaments. We've had issues where we can bring in the other boat and stuff like that. But you start mixing up a lot of business for fun if you're doing it just for yourself.
Yeah.
Now if a client pays me, I'm going to make sure that we're fishing the tournament
for sure.
But if you start doing it yourself, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and that one entry fee might be your food for the winter.
Yeah, right.
Not to think on it on a minuscule level, but like you always have to weigh risk reward with a business, right? So there's people that will fish it themselves. I pretty much don't. I mean, if we have a crew that is willing to fish it, great. If not, then we run our charters and have our guaranteed money that way.
Yeah, for sure, because it doesn't. I mean, your risk to win is you have a guaranteed amount with the charters,
right? There's a lot of very good fishermen. I do think that it is a gambling that is tilted towards the talented, no doubt. The people that are good at it are good at it. So, and I like to think we're good at it.
Yeah.
But any fish on any given day, I tell people all the time, you can tow around a bare hook long enough and a fish will bite it, right?
Yeah.
So, knowing that, a 250-pound big guy can bite anybody's line.
Yeah,
no matter how good you are. So there's always that factor into it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So if have you ever get people that follow you out like during a tournament? Yeah. Is that pretty frowned on, or like how you can't control that, right?
I'll tell you what. So we take an example of the White Marlin Open. There's 400 boats fishing it, and everyone's leaving the inlet at 4 a.m. There's going to be people going to the same place.
Yeah.
A tournament that big, like the White Marlin Open, you're not fishing anywhere on your own. It's 100 miles. There's 400 boats.
Yeah.
There's only, I'm guesstimating here, so nobody criticize me. But like, let's say there's 6 canyons within 100 miles of Ocean City, Maryland.
Yeah. So 400 boats divided by 6.
There's pretty simple math right there. So to say someone's following you, I don't think you'd be able to ever prove it. But there's people that trend towards what we're doing, or pay attention. And I would do the same thing. I would pay attention to the people that are out there every day, or the people.
Like past winners, maybe.
We've showed up to tournaments before. Like sometimes we charter. Like I'll take a charter out on a Saturday out of Atlantic City and into Cape May on a Sunday because I have to go there for the Mid-Atlantic.
Oh, okay.
So I'll pull up to the dock off a charter, and then I'll get them a limo back to Atlantic City, back to their car.
Oh, no way.
But it saves me the fuel to come back and then run back down.
That's
right?
smart.
So at the end of the day,
for sure.
I'm still doing okay. They get a limo ride. But
they think, you
pull up to the dock down there and you're offloading big eyes, right? Well, the tournament starts tomorrow. So then everybody starts talking to everybody, where were these guys? And it's really impossible to be a ghost of a boat anymore, right? So and again, I would do the same thing. I mean, I do the same thing. If I see results coming from somewhere, I'm always trying to gather information. So the follow thing, I see it more when we're just wreck fishing. I've had people follow me for miles, and I've got on the radio and be like, dude, I haven't had a bite in 4 hours. I don't know why you're following me.
Oh, no way.
And it's an innocent thing. It's probably just somebody that's out there fun fishing, and they go, oh, these guys probably have a good idea what's going on, and they just kind of they tail you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I get it, but
I get it too. So I do more of like a jig and pop style. I've done a few trolling when I was little. But we've been fishing with these guys, and like people follow us all day long. Like it's because we post a lot on social media. I think people kind of follow us and see what we do, and people are like, you'll get people follow us all day, and we're like, what do you guys do? Like we don't not catch anything all day, and these guys are following us, and then what are the groups? There's Canyon Runner or whatever, and then they'll be like, hey, like I seen them here, the catching, like da da da. Like that's so crazy. I mean, I get it for their point if they're coming out on a weekend, I don't know where anything is. Hey, let me follow these guys.
I understand. I absolutely. That's the thing. It's a very tough balance because we were there when we were kids. Like I see it with my father and uncle when we went fishing. We probably would have done anything, or they would have, when they were in charge of us fishing, to know more information. Yeah. Right. So I get it 100%. It agitates the heck out of me. Don't get me wrong, but I get it. But yeah, people, it's just like the rest of life. I feel like people are very nervous to go out on their own because if you caught a fish on a jig at the Cole an hour ago and you tell your buddy I caught a fish, you just tell him, I had one an hour ago.
Could be gone.
He's running through his head right now like, I don't have any fish. He's catching fish. I have to go where he was. Like that's just a scare tactic. Well, one bite can happen I see it the opposite. One bite can happen anywhere. I don't give a crap about one bite. Yeah. If somebody tells me they had one bite, I go, well, I'm not going there because they had one bite. But it's like the fear of missing out type thing.
Yeah. If you're dry and dry all day, you're like, oh, one bite, let's go.
And you come back to the dock with one fish, and your buddy comes back with 0. They feel like an a-hole.
Yeah.
But in reality, you weren't that far apart.
Yeah.
Now, yes, it feels like you were in a different realm because they have fish and you don't, and that's the worst feeling in the world. But he could have made a left when it was a right to go back to you, but if he went left 2 miles,
could have been way better.
Could have been blowing up all over the surface.
And it's funny, we were out on some trips and it was lights out. It'd be lights out for 2-3 hours, and then all of a sudden, done.
Yep.
So you could tell somebody, hey, like we're crushing it. And they could get there. It's still a gamble. You don't know. You can get out there and 2 seconds, you're there, done.
Yep.
Nothing. You couldn't catch anything.
And you only learn that from doing it because I've done that. I've had my brother out there. He'll catch 10 fish in 2 hours and go, all right, I'm going to move up to you. I've only had 2 bites.
Yeah.
You go there and it doesn't work out. So you learn that like the hard way. I feel like that you don't have to just go where the other people are having success.
Yeah.
Now, it might be the right thing. It's fishing at the end of the day. It might be the right thing. It might be the wrong thing. But just chasing stuff, you're always going to be following old news.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's fun. So I run my dad's boat. So 24-foot whaler, twin 150s. It's been out. I don't know. It has a pretty good range, good tank, whatever. But I always run out, and when I'm running my boat, I always get like amped up. I'm always running here, and I go, all right, calm down.
Well, that's your jig and pop side. Right?
Yeah.
We're as much as we're both tuna fishermen.
Yeah.
Like I always joke about this, like that when the jig and pop world and the canyon boat world collide, they're like who are the Star Wars people? Like,
Yeah.
they're two different forces. Similar fisheries, just completely different, like,
Yeah, tactics and
tactics.
it's funny. I like it because I used to race motocross my whole life. I grew up racing. I've told people that
You're used to
before.
running around.
Yeah, so I'm like amped up. Like I was used to go ride and race all the time. So I think that I love like flying and chasing tuna. Like I love that. Like I like trolling. I like just catching fish. I know a lot of people like don't like the trolling side from jig and pop side, which is cool. Like getting us on here and kind of talking both realms. And I don't know. I think it's funny that everybody else, oh, you're trolling. Like you're catching fish.
Yep.
Like if I catch a fish on a jig or you catch a fish on trolling, like why is it cooler to catch a fish on a jig or better to catch? Like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what I personally think. But
yeah, but so what is it about trolling that you don't like?
I don't like the lack of interactivity until you get a bite.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
like
no, I mean, I figured you would say that because that would be, I'd say that's pretty much the common answer.
Yeah.
And we jig, and it's hard for us to pop because you're on a sport fish. You don't really have, like, you could pop off the bow, but we don't have a bow rail up there. So, like, popping's not really, like, we pop through our chum slick and stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. Chum slick. But as far as, like, the popping world, we definitely don't do much of that. But we will absolutely jig whenever we can.
Yeah.
There is no doubt that the thrill of hooking a fish on the jig is exciting, right? And if you're sitting there working and stuff like that, I think the toughest thing, or like the easiest way to explain like our fishing is like a lot of our fishermen are not fishermen.
Yeah, yeah.
So when they want to jig, they jig for a minute and they go like, "Oh, fish aren't biting," but then they'll go troll for 6 hours,
and they think you are covering more, and people are kind of like anticipating.
So as a captain, I do believe that if I have fishermen that don't necessarily like call them fishermen, right? They're just on a charter.
Yeah,
I'm better off trolling because I'm actively fishing rather than 100%. A jig sitting in the rod holder dead sticked over the side of the boat.
Yeah.
So I understand both sides of it 100%. But when we do what we do, like we're out there 28 hours a time, we're not out there for a day trip. We're out there overnight. We have to cover ground because us and a couple other people in the canyons are really producing all the information for the entire industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
In reality. The canyons are huge. There's not, and in the canyons, there's not 100 center consoles running around at 40 knots.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the great thing about the jig and pop world is if there's fish, someone's going to find them. And it'll be the same thing in the canyons, but in the canyons, you'll have more of like sometimes you'll have days where there's nothing happening because the handful of boats that are out there every day, it's just really hard to cover that much ground that quickly.
So you think that the jig and pop guys almost find the bite first, or what do you think?
Well, in the midshore world,
in
the midshore world, I think they do, but I can there's very few jig and pop guys I see running around the canyons.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't have the same success in the canyons because you're looking for a whole different, like the signs of what you're looking for, like your whale feeds,
the whole
and stuff
different
like that.
environment.
It's just a completely different environment.
Yeah,
is the right word for it. Like you run around the midshore grounds, you're looking for piles of birds and stuff like that, and you do run across that in the canyons, but it's a lot more. It's a lot less like see fish, go fish. Where like I like in the you're running around the center console, you see signs of life, you fish the signs of life, you move on to the next one. A lot of the best tuna fishing I've ever had, there's no visual signs to see that there were fish there.
Yeah, so, I always say that too. Like I'll always run in my boat, I'll stop. Oh, there's nothing here. Keep going.
Yeah.
But how do I know that there's nothing there? Right.
That's exactly. So that's where the two worlds collide in a good way.
Yeah.
Where the troll guys will find stuff. The trolling guys will find stuff that jig and pop guys can't.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, the so-called hidden stuff, right?
Right. But the canyons are so much more structural. I don't even know how much time you've really canyon fished, but
I've only been on one canyon trip.
Yeah, so it's just a completely. It really is just almost two different fisheries.
Yeah,
and that's why there's I do think like the jig and pop guys are more successful. I'm friends with some of them like that run big operations, and they everyone kind of stays in their lane because in that lane it produces the best. I do think if you're fishing the canyons, you're going to produce more, and I believe this because we do it by trolling the majority of the time. Midshore, you're probably going to produce more running around at 40 knots, covering ground, fishing your signs of life, because the fish are typically on signs of life in the midshore grounds. So, like, that's why I think the style is better midshore. That way, the style is better. And in the canyons, the way that we fish, or really all the canyon guys fish, is the right style.
Yeah.
I think that way is going to produce the most fish based on that environment.
Yes, I have been on more canyon trips. I was just thinking. But I mean, we were out on a canyon trip. We were jumping in the water. I love that. You ever have people...
beautiful out there.
It's stunning. Like, I didn't realize we were with Captain Mark Horn. He actually lives down the street. It's funny. We were out. We were just drifting a mahi pond. Like, let's just jump in. I'm like, all right, cool. We jumped in. It was beautiful.
It's a scary thought at first, right? Isn't it like, man, we're 100 miles offshore? So the first time I went in the canyon water, I fell off the boat. So I was scared. So I was like 12, 13. I was going up the side of the boat at night. We had a fish that was like going around the boat, and a wave hit while I was like making a step, and I took my hand off the handrail, fell in the water. Your first instinct is like, holy, like, this is going to be like...
Is it rough, or was it nighttime?
It was rough. It was nighttime, and it was rough.
Oh, no.
So there's still a part of me that, like, it was still scary.
Yeah.
But I remember hitting the water, and I remember it clear as day. It's like one of those events that you'll never forget. I remember hitting the water and going like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's 75-degree water. You can feel that it's, like, clean. Like, I don't know. Like, when you're falling, my mind was like, I'm 100 miles offshore.
Yeah.
It's dark out. I'm in the middle of the ocean. This is going to be the scariest thing that ever happened. And I hit the water, and it was like, this isn't bad at all. Like, this is like being in a hot tub.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. So that was my first time going. After that, like during the day, I wouldn't suggest at night. It's it was still scary.
Yeah.
Because it's rough, it's dark.
It's funny you said warm. So we were out. There was a big upwelling this year inshore where it was like, I remember marking like 54 in the middle of July in our inlet. Maybe it was like June, and we were out the canyon the same day, 86, 87. Just like beautiful. Like no shirt, shorts, and coming in freezing.
Yeah, freezing.
It was hard. Yeah, but
I was putting on a sweatshirt a lot this past summer.
Yeah,
it was very cold along our coast, and which sucked. It was very foggy a lot of the times coming back to the beach because of that. Which fog's like the only thing that gets under my skin. It's just a scary, and it's not us. Like it's
other people.
It's almost like my parents taught me when I learned to drive. It's not you I'm worried about. It's everyone else.
Yeah, the
fog gets me very nervous about everyone else. Just out there having a good time, running around, boats going 40 knots. Fog gets a trip in the fog wears me out.
Yeah, because you're worried. You can't use your peripheral vision at all.
Sitting there, the only thing you can see is your radar, and you're putting your life and your charter's life in the hands of your radar. Which, thank God, we have good technology.
Yeah,
but you're hoping and praying that everything that's out there is coming up on your radar. What's weird is it's not much different than running at night.
Yeah, exactly. But you really feel I've been in fog and I've been running out at night. Exactly.
It's just like this anxiousness is on, like you're constantly like on edge.
Even nighttime fog, I get a little worried about. I'm like, why? I can't see anything at night anyway.
Exactly.
But I guess you could see the nav lights, anchor lights, kind of like stuff like that.
You can at least see something at night.
That's funny. I same exact feeling. Nighttime fog. Yeah. I'm more worried, and then regular nighttime.
We've fished through everything. I mean, I've fished the edge of hurricanes. I've ended up in Long Island because we were in a storm and stuff like it.
Yeah, let's talk about bad weather.
None of that stuff scares me. Like
really,
that stuff doesn't like. There's not a in bad weather. There's not a piece of my body that like is worried about me being able to navigate it.
Yeah.
Fog is the only thing, but bad weather. What do you want to know?
So like what? So obviously you kind of live probably on your keen weather apps, whatever weather sites. You're always that's your main point of I don't even know how to describe it. But you're focused on weather mostly majority of the time.
Yep.
You're probably looking at weather. How long are you looking out before trips?
I'm looking out far, but the only time I really believe anything is within like 48 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen how quickly stuff changes, and I'm gonna turn in I'm sure I'll tell you a story about like when the weather is just not right at all.
Yeah.
Even while you're out there, it's telling you you're supposed to be in X weather and you're in different weather. And that's on the charter side of things. That's a very difficult thing to navigate because this last year we had a bunch of storms coming up the coast, and these storms will be in Florida.
Yeah.
They'll be projecting 20-foot waves in New Jersey 5 days out. And I have to tell the guys, I said, listen, I'm not making a weather decision until the day before because stuff changes. And I remember 2 times this past year where we were projected to be like 15, 20-foot waves because of storms coming up the coast. Days ended up being beautiful.
Yeah. So did you cancel on those trips? Or?
No. But it's a fight with the clients because I understand if the trip's going to be canceled, they want to do other things or make plans otherwise. But it's like a fight to be able to tell them, like, listen, this weather is not accurate.
Yeah.
And I tell them, it's supposed to snow tonight. The chances that they'll get it right is like slim.
10%.
They just don't know. Like, for some reason.
And I think the weather out in the ocean, marine weather, is totally different than land. Like, these guys can't even predict weather.
That's what I mean. I mean, they that's what I'm getting at is like this weather. You would think they would land weather. You'd think they'd be pretty good at by now. I don't know what they work with or what, but they're hardly ever right.
Yeah.
So let alone take out to the marine world where I'm assuming there's going to be a lot less investment. There's going to be less technology because there's not as much of a big
exactly.
There's not as many people paying attention to marine weather.
Yeah.
So it makes it that much more all over the place.
It's funny. So every time I take my girlfriend out, she's right up behind you. And it's always, it's going to be beautiful, right?
Did you catch that?
No, she did not. Not yet.
She's gonna be impressed.
She did some time on the rod. She did do that. We're still waiting for her to get her first one. But every time it's gonna be beautiful. It looks beautiful. Yes. And I get out there and it's the shittiest day and she's a trooper. Like
I've gotten in the habit of never telling anyone it's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, it's such a kick in the dick when
I'm pulling out the end and I'm like, shit.
It's like the worst.
And she's like, doesn't look that nice. I'm like, it's not what they called for. That's my face. Weatherman was wrong.
It's just so true.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing for people when you tell them, oh yeah, come, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's not nice.
Yeah. So what's the worst? So we've all been where we went out beautiful, came back rough, went out rough, came back beautiful. What's the worst, like memory? Not worst, but like the roughest you guys have been in?
There's 2 that come to mind. One, I was young. It was when my dad was still running the boat, and we got into ourselves. We kind of knew what we were getting into. So I'm gonna tell the other story. Whereas my brother and I, we kind of knew what we were getting into with that.
It's a charter, or
it
no?
ended up way worse. It ended up way worse than we thought. So, but my brother and I, we had a charter for the Manasquan tournament, and there was a hurricane coming up the coast the entire week, and the fishing sucked the entire week. Mm-hmm. And you have the Manasquan tournament. You pretty much have like an 8 days or 9 days to fish your overnight trip.
Okay.
So the fishing was not very good. We were waiting it out. We were running our other charters, and we were gonna, when it's an advantage that we have when we found what we wanted to fish, we were gonna fish our tournament day. Well, the hurricane kept creeping up and got to the point where we're like, okay, we have to go fishing today. The hurricane's supposed to be here tonight.
Yeah.
We're supposed to fish an overnight.
Oh man.
It's coming the night of day 1 of our fish day. Okay. So we go out and we fish. We had a good day. Caught a lot of fish. It's now like 3:00 and like it was very eerie. Glass calm.
Oh, that's the word.
Glass calm.
No
and
wind.
We're like, my brother and I are, we know what's coming, so we're very like, as soon as we get a whiff of something, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Because it's not a storm coming, it's a hurricane coming.
Yeah. When was this?
This is probably like 7 or 8 years ago now.
Okay.
In the end of August, early September. Right when they start coming up the coast, right? So
this is you were on a tournament, just you and your brother, a charter?
with a charter, yeah.
Okay. Did you warn them at all, or you kind of?
They knew.
They knew.
Because they were freaking out, which, I understand. But we're
Confident in your
confident
equipment,
in it. And we're a 4-hour run from home. The storm was coming from the south, so it was going to push us back home. Worst case scenario. But we paid this money for a tournament. We're going to fish as long as we can.
Yeah.
And we still didn't have a fish. We had a good day fishing, but we knew we didn't have a fish that was going to win anything. So it's like 2-3 o'clock, and it's like eerie because we know a storm's coming. It's beautiful.
Blue skies,
calm,
everything.
Blue skies, good fishing. And then let's say it was 3 o'clock. By 4 o'clock, it's 5-footers. It's black like the walls in here.
You guys are on your way in, or you guys still fishing?
No, this is an hour. Like over the course of an hour, it switched that fast.
Yeah.
Okay, we're out of here. Let's say it took another 20 minutes to get everything in, and we knew it was going to be a rough ride in, right? So we're taking our time, making sure everything's secure, put away.
Batten down the hatches.
I mean, we know it's going to be rough, but like kind of what we always do on a charter. We buckle, we put everything away, we clean everything up. We take our time with it, make sure it's clean and all this stuff. Another half hour goes by, and there's 8-9-footers before we're even going. Like, I mean, it flipped.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to flip, but it was like...
What time is this? Are we running back into the night, or is still daylight left?
Yeah, so now it's like 6 o'clock.
Oh.
We're probably going to have like 2 hours of daylight left around that time of year.
Yeah.
We were going to be coming back in the dark. I was going to grab some sleep. He was running the boat. And I fell asleep, and I remember, I woke up, and he's working the throttles. I mean, he's going from 1,000 RPMs to 2,000 RPMs, working the throttles. And we're going, I can feel the boat going from 10 knots to 25 knots.
No way, really serious?
It's following, it was going to push us home. It's probably like 2 hours in. I go up to the bridge. I mean, it was... you could see the white caps on the bridge level.
No way.
And you're throttling to keep the boat in between the waves so that one doesn't curl into your cockpit and you don't nosedive over the next
Any kind of like side slide in or...
Not yet. So we're only like 2 hours in at this point. And my brother and I were like, oh, fuck, here we go. Like,
and how's the charter? Are they kind of inside? Or?
They have no clue because it wasn't like rough. So like...
Big
because
swell?
it was a following sea, it wasn't like, we're not flying all over the place. It was a big following sea, but big and like tight enough. Like they don't know any better that we're working the throttles. Like if we weren't working the throttles, it would have been terrifying.
Yeah.
So
you guys a little nervous, white knuckled at all?
This is at the point where we look at each other and we're like, this is gonna get real.
And how far are you guys out?
We're probably still 60 miles out at this point. And so I take over for a couple hours. He passes right out because he was already shot mentally.
Yeah.
We get about an hour from the inlet, and we're going from like 4 knots to 28, 30 knots in between the waves. And these are the biggest waves I've ever seen.
Really?
Like,
you probably can't describe it, right?
Besides on TV. Yeah. Besides on TV, these things were monsters. And we wakes back up. Let's say we're 10 miles outside. By the way, it took us 9 hours to get home because
you guys running into the Manasquan.
Running into Manasquan because we're slowing and going fast, we're probably only averaging 10, 12 knots at the end of the day. So now it's like midnight, and we should be able to see the inlet. Yeah, you can't see the inlet.
Because the waves are
so tall, you can't see the inlet. So we're looking at our radar. The waves are too big at this point.
Because your radar doesn't even work really, right? If the waves are so big.
The waves are so big. And, we slowed down and we're like, all right, well, we're gonna get one shot at it.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We're gonna get one shot at it because if you know Manasquan, the jetties on either side, you're not exactly bouncing off of them. So we have a track line, but it's very hard to keep the boat straight. And long story short, we got back to the slip we went through the inlet. We got back to the slip at 2 a.m. We went through the inlet probably at like 35 knots because the only thing to do was just hammer it. Because once they got to the inlet, they started curling. And
nice.
These, I'm going to call them, in realistic terms, I'm going to call them like 12 to 15 footers. And like real
Breaking.
12. And now, once you get to the shallow water, they're picking up speed and curling faster as they're getting to the shallower water. So your only chance, the proper way to navigate it is to get on the front side of one of them and just
hammer,
let her eat.
Yeah.
And that's because if your bow catches a wave and turns you, you're done.
Yeah.
You're going sideways into something. You're not coming back from it.
And you got a charter with you guys.
And I tell you what, they had no clue. Like, they knew it was rough, don't get me wrong, but because, I don't want to say because we were so good at navigating, but because of just the way we were handling it, they really didn't know. And we didn't want them to know.
Yeah, for sure.
That we were scared shitless as to what was happening.
Yeah.
And we got back. So at this point, we got back to the dock. We find out when we get back to the dock that the Coast Guard was called on us because we weren't back.
Oh, no way.
And
did they go out looking for you guys?
So they didn't go out, but they were trying to contact us.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe because of the waves and the weather and stuff. Or
because you guys are fishing a tournament. The tournament's waiting for you guys to come back in.
Yeah, the radios weren't somehow getting to us. Now, we did communicate with our family.
Yeah.
Because we had at this time we just had a sat phone.
Okay,
we were able to send a text that like, we're coming, but it's just slow going. And the craziest part of this is that this is on our 53-foot boat, right?
Yeah.
There's another boat that fished that day, so we survived.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to describe like how rough it was. It really is. I mean, we fish rough stuff a lot. Like,
so you're 53. You weren't like heading down at a time where you like crevice. Was it more of a crash? Like there was no like. How big do you think the waves were out there? Like was there any like?
At the end, they were probably 12 to 15 foot.
That's
I mean, they
nuts.
were big. They were very, very big. They were bridge height at least. Like top when you would get into the bottom of the
couldn't
valley,
see.
You weren't seeing in front. You wouldn't see on the front of the wave. You weren't seeing behind the other wave.
Oh, that's
they were
crazy.
Big. But the craziest part is that there was I don't remember exactly the size. I'm going to call it maybe a 31-foot boat that fished that day from our same dock. We had no clue that they went out. We would have
reached out.
We would have at least tried to reach out or something like that. And honestly, we figured they
didn't go.
You're not gonna on a 31-foot boat. You're not even gonna play with that. They weren't back. Wake up. So we tried to go to sleep. My hands were shaking.
Yeah.
Able to fall asleep for a couple hours. Wake up at 7 a.m. Look over at their slip. They're still not back.
Oh.
And
you guys close to these guys? You know them?
No, we knew them, but we didn't we didn't know them. We didn't have their sat
That's
phone
an
or
eerie
nothing.
feeling waking up and
I was
there.
very nervous. Like,
yeah.
Oh shit! Like, and I almost felt a little bit bad. Like, I wish we knew they were out there. We could have at least tried or called them or something. Long story short, they went into a different inlet because of the weather.
Okay.
They just went wherever the weather took them, and they went into a different inlet.
Really?
But honestly, my wholehearted feeling was that they were dead.
Yeah, right.
Like,
what else can you think?
And this is, it's 7 a.m. I mean, the wind is blowing 80 knots at the dock.
Yeah.
Like, if they're still out there,
they're done.
They're not still out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
That's the right way to put it. If they're still out there, they're not in a boat out there.
Yeah.
So they ended up being fine, but that was probably it was very nerve-wracking.
Now, do you judge everything? Oh, it's not as bad as that day. Do you judge every bad weather window to like what you guys were in?
The only reason we fished that was because it was a tournament.
Yeah. Did you place it all or
no?
Oh man,
no. It was all for nothing. Just a fun fish story at the end of the day. But the tournament, the fishing sucked that week. We had a really good day. But just nothing sizable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in reality, our gamble didn't pay off, but like we did produce good fishing.
Yeah.
We missed out on some money by a couple pounds, but just I don't know I would say it wasn't like scared. I mean, it was just very
because I think you're so focused.
Nerve-wracking.
I think you're like you're so focused in, and then I think you get almost more scared. I've never really been in anything crazy, and I think you get more scared after the fact because you're kind of dialed in. You know,
I was more scared when the other boat wasn't back. Like
yeah, exactly.
That, like I don't know, scared wasn't the word. Like my brother, like we talked about it. You know, we still talk about it now. We laugh about it. Like we'll do it again tomorrow. But I don't think so. But like it was just nerve-wracking. Like we made a strategic error.
Yeah.
And that's what like we knew what we were getting into, but we misplayed it. Mm-hmm. And do we keep no, because we don't if we're on our charters now, like we would never even put a normal charter even close to that situation. I mean, that's not our goal is for them to have a great time. Yeah. If the weather we think is going to be uncomfortable for them, we don't go. We reschedule. So it's not even like that's a thing. When I fish tournaments, and I fish a lot of tournaments, you fish when you sign up for that stuff, I fish a lot of nasty stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I fish a lot of 8-foot days, like true 8-footers, not 8-footers that some people call 8-footers, like true 8-footers, where I'm hanging on the entire day. But that's the nature of tournament fishing. But anything charter wise, you don't get anything near that.
Yeah, so we go from the bad side, not bad side, but the not so bright side of charters to I get you got everybody's first tuna, right? Like that's got. I remember I got our first tuna. It took me a while. Our first tuna trip I actually went on with my neighbor Rick. We did some trolling, never got one. We got an albie, and I was stoked. And then me and my buddy went out. I told us on the other
some days where albies are great.
Yeah, exactly. But we got on the. I was like, and we thought it was a tuna. We were all stoked. And
did you eat it?
We did, and it was like pretty good. I didn't. Mind
They're actually not bad.
Yeah,
a lot of people just throw them back or.
Yeah, we did it like ahi style, and I was like, "It's not bad." We knew what it was. We're like, "I might as well try it, right?"
Yeah.
But then I saw Instagram, whatever, and I kind of got into tuna fishing because I was like, "This looks cool." And I talked about this in the other podcast. But me and my buddy went out our first time. We have some intel, and we hooked up. This is nuts. A little 10K, a popping rod, and I was instantly hooked. I'm like, this is crazy. I love this. I was done with racing. And then anyway, fast forward, it was almost a year until I landed our first tuna.
You didn't land that one you hooked up on?
No, it broke off. I cracked the guide. And
that actually probably keep you coming back for more.
It did. I had a rough go. Not a rough go, but like a true, like I didn't get lucky. Like I worked for it.
Yeah, that's better than the people that get spoiled.
Yeah, exactly.
They go out the first time and they're catching everything that they want to catch, and then they think every chip's supposed to be like. And not to cut you off, but the people that have a great first trip, they never last as long in the fishing world, in my opinion. Like, they don't love it as much because they didn't have to work for it. Yeah. Then they get spoiled, and then like they do it a couple of times, and like, oh, this is harder than I thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So it took me like 8 months. I went on with a couple guys I fish with now. I broke off another time. And I went with my brother, which he fishes a lot. I'm pretty confident with him. And this other friend who never really fished before. And we got one on the jig. And we got it up, landed it. And I was like screaming. There was like 5 boats around. And they were probably like, what is this guy doing?
Oh, yeah.
Because I do that now too. And then I'm like, oh, wait. Like, I'm like, these guys are, I'm like, what are you guys hooting and hollering for? But I was like, I was that guy. I was
rightfully so
stoked.
I do the same. I get super pumped for all of our customers. Yeah. Like I think I personally, I mean, actually, I know I do. I have more enjoyment watching people catch their tuna than I do myself.
That is awesome.
But that thrill is just it's like a natural.
Yeah, it's a battle.
You don't think that you're gonna get that, and then like.
That's what I look. I was like, why are these guys getting so excited?
It's such an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
To feel the strength of them, like especially, I'm sure before I would assume you've caught stripers and all kinds of other stuff, right? And then like. You go like, it's just a bigger striper. Like it can't be that.
It's like holy shit.
Yeah, it can't be that cool. And then it starts peeling line off the drag. You're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and I just got so stoked. So like, I ever get people like fired up all the time? I guess, right?
Oh yeah, which is the best part. They'll land. A lot of our guys are like super focused on catching big eye.
Yeah.
So when you like, they celebrate. Like, I mean, you would think they just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you know?
that is so
the Super
awesome.
Bowl just happened, but like they're fist bumping, they're coming up, they're hugging me, coming up in the bridge.
That is cool.
And just pumped. And that's the excitement that we do it for too. Like, I'm just as excited. You know?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's got to be the coolest feeling.
It's the best. And I take it as a challenge, like in a good way, where like we're dealing with a lot of inexperienced anglers.
Yeah.
So if we can get them to boat a fish that people have fished their whole lives for, a big eye, a large bluefin, something like that, where they're going to tell people for the rest of their lives. If like, and us as a crew, we have to be good enough to help them do it.
Yeah.
Because in reality, they wouldn't be able to do it on their own. So they're dependent on us to be able to navigate the boat, navigate the equipment, throw the harpoon, gaff the fish. And when it all comes together, it's the best. I mean, it's
you can't even describe it.
It's indescribable, but it's literally why I do it. Like, I get jacked up. If I was fighting the fish, I would not feel I don't think I would feel the same way anymore. I think I've almost crossed that hill a little bit on like a personal fishing level.
Because you give these people like a memory they will never forget.
Yep.
Like these guys, like not everybody could go and say, oh, I want to go. Like anybody could go say, I want to go catch a striper. Let me buy a rod. Let me go on the jetty and catch a striper. Whatever. But nobody can go to the canyons.
The best part is like I get texts all throughout the winter of like people just like reminiscing on their trips.
That's
I guess.
cool. Yeah.
And they'll send me pictures and like, man, this is the best day ever. And I truly feel that. Like I feel their appreciation. They paid us to do something, but they appreciate
what you gave them,
that it worked out, and that they have this memory forever, and that they're coming back. Like, see you in 6 months and 2 days.
That's awesome.
To do it again. And that I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And between that and tournament fishing, the thrill of tournament fishing is there's a little bit more nerves that maybe they go into that, because any stupid fishing thing that can happen can really piss you off. But people's first tuna, I would say you get the biggest celebrations. At least the charters and stuff that I run a lot are a lot of people that have probably caught a tuna before, like personally. Like the other boats do a lot more, maybe the first timers. Like our 45 does a lot of the mid-shore trips where a lot of people like. A lot of first tunas on there. Yeah. And our Capt on there will send me pictures of like 5-year-olds with a 30-pound bluefin, and the kids smiling ear to ear, and it's like.
But yeah, so bringing out people to catch their first tuna, I say. But you were saying that when you go out to the canyons, you're kind of on a different. People have caught their first tuna.
Yeah. So on my personal, with my charters and stuff that I deal with, a lot of them are super focused on big eyes. Like we get people from all over the world that want to catch a big eye. Now,
I've yet to catch one.
It doesn't always work out. Don't get for sure, but that is like the best thing that can happen to them.
Yeah.
And I like it on a personal level because it is an extreme challenge to take these people that can't fight a fish properly. Not any fault of their own. They just haven't done it, right? They don't know. So you have to. The entire time is teaching them and correcting them and helping them. And, I have to do way more stuff with the boat because of their limited ability. So it's like, I take a lot of pride in that. Like it makes me feel really good at the end of the day when we can help them achieve their goal, and that we did it together, and that they got what they wanted.
Yeah, that's cool. So then you go from the highs, and you've had to have trips that are not that good, right?
Oh yeah.
So you ever had return customers that have had a bad trip?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't even say it a bad trip, because no trip can really be bad.
In the eyes of a lot of customers, it is.
Yeah.
So, but because they're paying, they want to catch fish, and so do I. And there's nothing worse than, of all the tuna trips in a season, I can count on my one hand on trips that don't work out as far as targeting tuna between the boats. And there's nothing worse than that because they're coming with us because they have expectations. They could choose any charter vessel.
Yeah.
They're coming with us because they have expectations. And a lot of them it's transactional.
Mm-hmm.
They expect to pay X amount and they expect to catch a bunch of tunas.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the best clients don't think that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our great clients have had poor trips. Just, and I go almost like the appreciation thing, but they know that we made sure we controlled everything that we could. We made sure the boat was spotless when they got on. We made sure every rod and reel was rigged right. We made sure we didn't lose a fish because of a leader issue or a crimp pooling. We didn't go to sleep when on the overnight drift when our guys were fishing the entire time.
Yeah.
We stayed extra time to try and get more bites. We ran to a different canyon to try and get more bites. We ran inshore to try something different.
Yeah.
We tried mahi fishing. And even on the bad tuna trips, typically we can mahi fish or we can tile fish and we can make sure that they're coming home with something, which takes extra effort.
For sure.
Like, to me, that's not a big deal, but to our clients, a
That's
lot of them appreciate that.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't work out on the tuna side of things,
but let's go catch some tile, or let's go
everything
get some
else
mahi.
was great, and they know that we tried, and we didn't just take their money and go, oh well, the fish didn't bite, and go home. Oh, you're fishing. If anyone that tells you they haven't had bad trips, is just an outright liar.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had plenty of them, and I was taught that at a young age. You control what you can control. You can't make fish bite, which is that's why my dad says he doesn't like the charter industry because our business relies on other things doing their job
out of your control. Yeah,
so we have to rely on the fish to bite our hooks.
Yeah, right.
Where he likes his business because he can control everything from start to finish, and in order for him to make a good product, he doesn't have to rely on someone else.
Yeah. So now back to your family business. So diesel mechanics, I guess, right? So that comes in a huge play with you guys, right? Because you guys have twins in all of your boats.
Yep.
All diesel. Yep. What do you run? Cats, Cummins?
We have Cats in 3 of them.
Okay.
Well, right now of the 6 boats that are currently under management by us, 5 of them have Cats.
Okay.
The other one has Volvos.
Oh, sweet.
So just quick, our Melton Industries is the family business that we grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a diesel remanufacturing and diesel engine remanufacturing facility. Started in 1949 by my great grandfather.
Oh wow!
So it's 75 years, and I think last year was 75 years.
That's awesome.
A lot of government contracting. Most of the Humvees that you see in the Army have our engines in them.
Oh no way! Really?
You'll see a Melton sticker on them.
Oh, that's sweet.
So a big pride in the family is that we are big. We support the Department of Defense.
That's awesome.
The soldiers rely on us, so that's
badass.
we were taught to take a lot of pride in our work because I remember my grandfather when I was 5 and sweeping the shop.
Yeah.
We're building this. There's a war fighter that's going to war for us that depends on this engine.
That's
and if
awesome.
our engine breaks, there's a good chance that they're gonna have maybe they don't make it out alive or whatever happens, right? So if we cut a corner on this or we do one thing wrong,
may affect someone down the line.
It could affect someone down the line. And I remember that always played a big role in my entire life of being able to control what you can control. And if you're gonna do something, do it right.
For sure.
But yeah, so remanufactured diesel engines. We've done it for a long time. I'm still involved in the business.
So you guys rebuild your own motors in the boats? Do you pull them and service them? And
yep.
Which that's huge. That's
everything.
awesome. Yeah.
That's. I don't know how someone could fish as much as we do or some boats do and not do it themselves.
Yeah. Which that plays a big part in why people should choose you too. With that background, your equipment is 100% all the time.
Yeah, I think in what is it, 13 years now, or this would be our 14th season, whatever the math adds up on. I think we've had 2 trips ever that we've had to
get a tow back or.
No, we've never had to been towed back. But
really,
we've come back on one engine one time. And then we had one other trip where we blew a turbo where we had to cancel the trip.
Yeah.
But we have one vessel with 25,000 hours on it, which is unheard of.
Same block, everything.
Same everything.
Yeah.
And, we take pride in taking care of our stuff. And, yeah, we have access to, the Melton Industries is a Capt dealer, is a Cummins dealer.
That's awesome.
Is John Deere, Volvo, Isuzu. So we can get parts probably quicker than a lot of people can. We can work on our own stuff. It's easy for us, which I think is it's just, for a lot of people, it's just unknown.
Yeah.
When you don't know, if you don't grow up working on engines, you look at an engine and go that's scary.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck that is.
Which is cool because if something goes wrong on the water, you guys know your engines, you know your boat, and you could.
And that's 90. We've had other issues, but we can go down to the engine room and take care of it or fix it for the time being and make sure that we can get back or continue on the trip. And there was a trip last year where we were going out the inlet and I had a sensor giving me issues. I had to go back to the dock for an hour and fix it. Where I remember thinking once I finally fixed it and got back out, 99% of people would have canceled the trip because they wouldn't have been able to work on it. Which is a luxury that we have because we were fortunate enough to grow up in a business like that we can keep our equipment running and moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and it keeps almost the clients more confident and worry-free that, hey, if I knew that, I'd be like, that's awesome. I have a lot more.
What's funny, I've had... a couple years ago, I had a guy that was very nervous about booking a charter because his last charter, they had an engine issue. And I don't like talking about myself really. This is even odd. I have a podcast, but I don't talk about myself ever on it.
Yeah.
So eventually, I tell the guy, I'm like, listen, we grew up we worked on engines our entire lives. We were very confident in our ability to maintain the boat. But the other side of it was anything can happen at any moment. So I don't want to tell this guy something.
Yeah, machine's a machine, right?
I said the chances are, we've been doing this long enough, when somebody brings up something like that, the chances are that's when we're going to have an issue is when this guy's on board. But it put him at ease. I sent him the family website and all this stuff, and he some people have their things, right? So he did all this research into it, and he's like, you guys... if there's anyone I'm going to go with, you guys obviously have a background in being able to handle this stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Never something I thought would really be a sales tool.
Yeah.
But it ended up
landing you a client.
Ended up being one.
Yeah, I mean, that's word of mouth too. That guy could say, "Oh, let me go with these guys,"
This thing's got a lot of bubbles in it.
Yeah, they are really carbonated.
Yeah.
But
that's what got me the first time.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're zero sugar, and there's no caffeine in it. It goes with
what gives you the energy?
Ketones, which I don't really know what are.
What is a ketone?
It's horrible.
I see it's called kinetic.
Yeah, I don't really know, but it doesn't.
12 grams of ketones.
Yeah, you normally drink an energy drink, and it's like, all right, yeah, and then it's you kind of
the sugar spike.
Yeah. So these have lasted, and it keeps you focused. Which I've been drinking one every morning, and it keeps you in focus. It's pretty good, not too bad.
This is blackberry
lemonade. Yeah, and they have 2 other flavors.
This would be really good with vodka or something.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe make a little mixer.
It is good.
Yeah, I like it, and we're gonna be making some cool videos with them this year.
Be curious to see how it. Well, I guess now I'll start seeing. I just opened it, so I'll see if I can feel.
We'll be dialed in, right?
Because I don't really drink energy drinks.
I don't either.
Now I say. There's one trip a year where I'll tell them mates running the Wawa and be like, you got to get me a Monster or something.
Yeah.
We've done 10 trips in a row and I'm like. But I don't I don't like them. I'm only drinking it to me it tastes like poison personally. Yeah. I just drink black coffee, so I don't like all the different stuff.
Yeah.
This is tasty, and the ketone thing. All I know is one time I went on a diet where I was in ketosis.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that?
No.
Where it's it's the keto.
I think ketones burn fat.
No carb. Yeah. So it was a no carb diet.
Yeah.
But you go into
keto.
Yeah, keto. Yeah, the keto diet.
Yeah, my dad's been doing that for 8 years.
So if keto diet, you just drink these and lose weight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Drink a kinetic and lose some weight. Good advertising pitch.
That's what I'm saying. I know, I need to lose some weight too. We gotta drink these more often. But
They should say weight loss on them.
yeah, I don't. They don't really kind of give you a background, but I did some research and they're awesome. So the YouTuber, like Cletus McFarlane, you ever seen him on YouTube? He's a big car guy. He just bought into it, and I don't know. We're making some cool videos this year.
Never
with these
really
guys.
been a big like
YouTube guy, social media.
well. And would you say car guy?
yeah,
car guy?
like a car YouTuber.
Which I should because my grandfather was a huge car guy.
Really?
Yeah, like
That's
he had
awesome.
like 50 cars.
No way.
Yeah,
That is fun.
so I should have been more into it, but I never really got into the car. No, even weird because I'm a NASCAR guy.
Yeah.
I watch NASCAR, but I just
They're just. I think he's racing Daytona next week or whatever. In a kinetic car. They sponsor.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, they just came out like last year. They have a kinetic car.
shit.
Yeah, check them out.
Yeah, I have to check them out.
Yeah, it's cool. But anyway, so let's go back to. You have a favorite fish story? Like something that you're stoked about still? I can't. You probably. There's probably trips that you ever forget or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be trips.
yeah.
It's just like everyday life.
Yeah, that's there's maybe like one or two trips a year that really you remember anymore. Like I remember faces and stuff, but there's a lot of good fishing trips. So that's a tough question. I'm trying to think of
Any video, I like to post on our Instagram that the video clips while we're talking. You have any video clips you talk about? Not talk about, but
oh yeah, so I have a good one that I can get you the video on.
Yeah.
Which people love. I usually post it once a year still.
Yeah.
It's like 5-6 years old now, but we were fishing. This is early June, June 6th or something like that. And this was almost still a little bit before most other people realized that there were tuna in the canyons that early. People really weren't. Anyway, we ran 130 miles out to this little piece of water. And I did this on the private boat. And the owner wasn't exactly psyched. He doesn't like making these long runs. And I was like, this is what we got to go fish. This is when you catch them all.
Yeah.
If they're in here, we're going to crush them. Well, of course, it's foggy out and all this crap. And it's
you guys are
miserable.
going blind. No intel.
No intel. I saw this piece of water out there. I was the first one out there. I'm going to fish it. I knew it. I just knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Went out there and got 4 or 5 hours without a bite. I'm like, fuck.
So boss man's not happy.
He's never someone that will tell me he's not happy because he's just a nice guy. But I could tell he was not loving it. And neither was I. I was like, man, I sold my soul to tell him. I was like, we got to go fish this water.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start seeing some white water out in the distance, and I was down in the dumps. I was like, it's probably just stupid porpoise playing around out there. But I pointed over there, and I'm getting closer, and I'm like, I don't think those are porpoise. I'm like, now you start getting excited, and you're like, I think those are tuna. You get closer and closer, and I'm like,
you're trolling over there?
I'm trolling over there.
Yeah.
And I go, I literally remember saying to myself, holy shit, those are big eyes. Just big eyes just
Airing out.
blowing up out of the water left and right.
No way.
Very distinctly big eyes.
Yeah.
Get to them. And I was like, I'm not missing this opportunity. Normally, if I'm just fishing a trip, if I see stuff blowing up, I'd go around it. I'd drag my one side of the spread through it because I don't want to disturb them.
Yeah.
I went right through them. It had been long enough. I was like, I'm either getting bites off these fish this time or they're gone. And I hadn't seen anything else all day, so I was just dead set. It's just not normally how I would fish it because I'd rather keep it where I can get more bites and come back, catch a couple, come back. Go over it. 12 rod spread, every single rod goes down.
You gotta be kidding me.
Holy shit.
How many people are on the boat?
3.
No way.
12 rod spread, every single rod goes down. I think we went 10 for 12. Broke 2 off. I mean, I couldn't believe we did that. I had to come down from the bridge. We had cockpit controls. I come down from the bridge. I flick on the cockpit controls.
No
I'm keeping fish tight while the other people are fighting them.
Yeah.
And
all big eyes?
All big eyes. We land them, and I go okay.
Yeah.
I'm not an asshole.
Oh,
like I
that's
remember
hilarious.
saying that, and he was like, yeah, and everyone's pumped up, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the tide's completely turned. So we didn't need any more fish.
Yeah.
But it was at this point, like even though it had been like 4 or 5 hours.
So you guys boated 10.
I think it's only I
Holy
think it's
cow.
only like 9. Sun comes up at like 4:30 in June, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's only like 9 o'clock. So it's still like early in the day,
no
even though
way.
it had felt like forever. So we talked about it. We're like, all right, we'll give it another half hour or something like that, and then we'll long run home. Got plenty of fish, for the private boat. Like he's more than happy, right? Trolling around and it happens again, and I yelled down to him. I was like, "Yo, turn your GoPro on."
Yeah.
I was like, "We're gonna see if this can happen again."
So you saw the same thing.
Saw the same thing happen again. I never thought, like I was up in a bridge, never thought I would see it again. A lot of times out there in the canyon, when you see fish blowing up, you run them over, you never see them again.
Yeah.
With like midshore, like they'll go down for like 20, 30 minutes and pop back up somewheres and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like if they're wanting to surface feed. Lo and behold, I'd never really seen big eyes blowing up out of the water like that. So to me, it was a once in a lifetime thing. Tell him to turn the GoPro on. He sticks it underneath the overhang in the cockpit. We're getting close to him, and they like I wasn't even a couple hundred yards, and they boom disappear. And I was like, all right, well that's more like it. That's kind of like how they're normally going to react.
Yeah.
Now they know the boat's bad. They hear the vibrations. They're gone. So we're trolling along for like another 2 minutes, and at this point I have forgotten. Like I'm starting to turn.
Yeah.
And it happens again.
Oh, no way.
Every single rod goes down. So I got the video playing, and or we got the video. I didn't know what the video turned out like at the time, but it's a minute straight of big eye bites.
No
so,
way.
And this is like, it's one of the things when I do seminars, like I'm doing one this weekend, I'll show it.
Yeah.
Where like you're in gear and we got like 3 bites in like 10 seconds. And then
it's just bam, one rod goes down. You're
1,
fighting
2,
it.
3.
Next one.
Or 1, 2, a couple seconds, then the third, and then there was like a 25-second delay where most people would like take the boat out of gear and start fighting those fish. And this is like one of the biggest teaching topics, and this is like a perfect video for it because you keep the boat in gear and like 25 seconds goes by from like the 3rd bite to the 4th bite. And then it goes 4, 5, 6, 7, like, and then they start going nuts, right? And then you see multiple fish blowing up on one spreader bar. It's a really cool video.
That's crazy.
And it ends up being a minute-long straight of
shit.
big eye bites on this video clip. So that's probably like the coolest video clip I have of like action going on.
Yeah.
And
you guys, so did you land all those? How many big eyes
that
can
one
you
I
keep?
think we went like 8 for 12.
That's insane. Like
That one I think we went 8 for 12. The guys were...
2 on, 3 on, 4. Nobody move this one. All right. Coming. Yeah, no boil. There's no boil. Oh! There's another one. Oh! No. No, that's a big one right here. Holy shit! Oh, that's another one. Hey, make it sing! Make it sing! Oh, yeah! Oh, shit. Is that camera on? Camera's on. No, keep my phone. Watch first. Keep my phone. Hurry up. Take the middle and enjoy first.
The first time around, each guy had to fight 3 or 4 big eyes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I started, like you start thinking back on it. So they're shot already. And this is only like 40 minutes later, and it happens again. This time they're just cranking them in the rod holders.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised we got 8 that time because, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead.
Turn around and go home, or
We went home. It was
how many can you keep? How many big eyes can you keep?
Big Eyes Unlimited.
Are you serious?
Big Eyes
You
Unlimited.
had some meat that day.
Oh, yeah.
You have an ice maker on the boat or no?
No, but the freezer plates.
Okay.
And then with ice. Now we were maxed out. We had fish on deck with like blankets on them and ice packed on them, and nobody has enough ice storage for how many 18 big eyes or
Yeah,
something.
that's crazy.
I don't even really remember. It was so cool, but
yeah, that is
we were
awesome.
maxed out on storage space.
Yeah, that's something
we
I'll
were
never
maxed
forget.
out. We were in theory almost maxed out on the first one, but it had been such a short trip anyway. We still had pretty much all the ice.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, that was the video. When you see the video, it's cool.
That is cool.
The video is cool. It's
Something you'll never forget.
yeah, and I post it usually in like May every year and it always like people love it.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like the epitome of like what you want to see happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's the reels. It's got audio, right? And you hear people screaming, and you hear the reels just screaming.
That's
you
sick.
see the riggers. You see each rod go down, and I have two different ones I'll probably send you.
Mm-hmm.
But like I have one where I put little circles right before like where
I see where they're blowing
where they're
up.
gonna blow up, so that you like know where to look.
That's crazy.
And you see them blowing up in the different circles, and
That's sweet.
from flatline bites. The camera
It's the epitome of what
for
you
throwing
want.
the camera on there last second. Like it was just such a perfect angle because you can see everything. You can see
Yeah.
all the rods, the entire spread. You see the long riggers get eaten out in the spread. You see the flatlines get eaten out in the spread.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
That's funny. So I do a bunch of filming. If you see any of my
Oh,
videos
yeah.
on Instagram, so like a lot of the times when like you have the camera on, like that's like your best, like
Yeah.
I get my best shots when I'm not even trying. It's fun. Like it just seems to work out though. And he just told him to throw the GoPro up, and
I just had we were talking about the GoPro. We were talking about how, man, we wish we had the GoPro on.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And then when I saw it again,
happened
I was like,
again. What are the chances?
I said, turn it on. Maybe this will be.
And it did.
Maybe this
What
will
are
be
the
it. And
chances?
it ended up being an awesome, awesome video.
That is awesome. Well, I think that was a long one. That was good. I think we could go on for so long.
Yeah, I can talk forever.
I know.
We'll be back sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so people can go to your website.
I gotta get some questions to ask you.
Yeah. No, I think it was a well-rounded, like, that was good. That was
Yeah.
fun.
No, I enjoyed being on this side of it. I've
Yeah.
never really been interviewed on a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, interview is the right word, but we talked.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I know we talked in Massachusetts about doing like a video service for your
Yep.
clients, which I still we have to work together and get that. So it'd be cool. Anybody could, if you want to have us on and video a trip, let Cody know. We could work something out, and it's not. Maybe you get a trip like you just said, and you want it videoed. That's you get a life story, like a fish story, and you want some proof to back it up.
Yeah,
and kind of a cool video to show everybody your trip.
Very excited about that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people want it. It's just not like. I feel like a lot of people want it, but it's not like an option for them.
Yeah.
And I think us making it an option for them is going to be
huge.
It's going to be huge. And
It kind of makes you stand out in front of against anybody else.
Yep.
So
yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for that.
yeah, that should be cool.
I know the power of marketing on my side.
Yeah.
And how it would be helpful for that. And I also know the clients will, not everyone, I assume, but a lot of them will probably take us up on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, this is going to be posted on your audio side too.
Yes, it is.
We'll edit this up. We'll post
Get
it.
'em Giddy Radio.
Get 'em Giddy Radio. Where's Get 'em Giddy? How did you? Is this a phrase you
So,
guys started or what?
Yeah, it's another thing we just kind of came up with. Get 'em giddy means get the fish giddy, get them excited, right? If you know a lot of people don't know what the word giddy means.
Yeah.
But if you know what it means, it just means get the fish excited. And if you get the fish excited, they're probably going to eat your stuff. You know, like it goes to that. Everyone's had the tuna next to the boat in a feeding frenzy, and it's easier to catch them when they're in a frenzy, right? Rather than when they're swimming around. So you got to get them, and that's another tidbit is like tuna are pack eaters. So if you get one to bite, you want to the whitewater and stuff. So trolling is when you get a lot of bites. The science behind it is actually like when they bite and they see the other fish struggling in the whitewater and stuff, they think a feeding frenzy is happening.
Yeah.
So then you're going to get the other fish to come up. So once you get one giddy,
You get them all giddy.
get them all giddy.
Yeah.
So the goal is to get them giddy.
Get them the fish and the clients.
Yes.
Exactly.
Everyone's got to get giddy. It's our tagline that we've had since day one. and we love it. I actually just got some. No, I don't have stickers. I ran out of stickers.
We're out to get some of those.
Yeah, I have to get some more.
Yeah.
People loved them. But stickers are not cheap anymore.
No, $1 or something a piece. Tyler was handing them out like crazy at the last fishing show.
He came over to the. I was talking to him, and he was like, "Man, I had stickers," and he was like, "I had your business cards and stuff over there." And I was like, "That's your problem. You're leaving stuff out for people to take."
Yeah.
I keep my stickers behind with me.
Yeah.
And I give them as I see fit.
I was giving them the kids.
Because otherwise,
shit.
At shows, dude, people just grab anything that's on the table.
For free, yeah.
I've had people take my binder off the table that's just full of pictures just because, I don't know.
They
got
just like
snatchy
it.
hands.
Yeah, it's horrible.
They're just filling up their bag full of the stuff they paid the
Trying to get the
$15 to get
bag.
into.
Exactly.
I'm getting my money's worth out of this place.
Right. Well, that was good episode 2.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We'll have to do another one like midsummer after I come and do a trip with you guys.
Yep.
That'll be
Absolutely.
fun. So, alrighty. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you guys come again and listen to another one.
Get 'em giddy.
Get them giddy.